This is Paul Wilson.
And Chris Emke.
And you're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. Guys, as you know, we are working on our listener ride review segments. So we're having listeners come on the show, talk about their trucks, talk about their builds, the highlights, the lowlights, the love, the hate that they have with these machines. And it's a lot of fun, Chris. It's been a blast.
Yeah. Speaking of what's fun and highs and lows, over at Calibrated Power, we have a stealth turbo sale going on this month. Paul, what do we got going on over there?
Oh, man, great question. A massive sale. Just to preface this, the largest discount we've ever given to a retail customer was $100 off. We did that for Black Friday. Right now, what we are internally, and I do certainly internally calling it this, but it's our DT stimulus sale. We're running stealth turbos 15% off across the board. And then we got really crazy. There was a big push on the third gen 67 turbos last month. So that was your 2003 to 2007 67 millimeter drop in Cummins turbocharger. We went nuts and did a 25% off sale on that. We're keeping it around for this huge stealth turbo sale. This hundreds of dollars off on your turbo. Like for some of these lines, this is a massive savings.
I mean, some guys that I've talked to, they've put some other modifications on the back burner just to reap the benefits of something like this because, they're saving $300, sometimes even a couple more bucks than that. So, the savings are significant. We have a good supply of turbos on the shelf. Any of our listeners, if you have any questions within the month of April 2020, because we're going to have listeners listen to this after April 2020, and they're going to say, well, what about that sale? The sale's good for April 2020 on stealth turbochargers. So if you guys have any questions or concerns, feel free to give me a call over at the shop. I'm Chris, of course. I'll be able to help answer questions, maybe guide you into what turbocharger is going to be best for your application. So really exciting stuff over there. On that note, what goes really well with all of our stealth turbochargers, Paul? Exergy's 10 millimeter CP3 and CP4 pumps.
Boom. What a great segue. Yeah, man. No, you're absolutely correct. Guys, you're upgrading your fuel system, you're upgrading your air, time to upgrade your fuel system along with it. So that turbo is going to help you max out whatever fuel system you have, more than likely. Generally, trucks from the factory come with more fuel than air. That way we don't have to lean on the edge of our fuel system to max out our power of our truck. So it makes sense. You should probably try to keep your truck under a similar sort of concept. 10 millimeter C4, that's going to be for your LMLs and your 6.7 liter Fords. Yep. And then your CP3, that's going to be everybody else that we talk to. So that's going to be all of our older Duramaxes and all of our Cummins. But man,
So prior to 19,
prior to 19, that's right. Then we get into an HP4 on the Cummins, right?
CP4.
Yeah, actually, when we interviewed Rod Romaine from Cummins, he was very specific. I'm sorry, from Ram. It was very specific. They are not calling it a CP4. They are calling it an HP4. It does have some revisions in that 19 Cummins compared to the LML and the Power Stroke pump.
That's right.
Yeah, man. I had to dig deep in my memory banks for that one.
Yeah. I remember that when we were talking about that.
Well, hey, guys, another thing that goes great with a stealth turbo is a twin turbo kit. And Chris, and I know that we go to Worley when we need twin kits. No questions asked.
I mean, the fit and finish, fitment as far as, you got to think about when these twin turbo pipes are being built and, getting retrofitted in one of these trucks, they are using every square inch of available space to make that pipe flow and have the least amount of bends and kinks and all these, attributes that would cause airflow to be less efficient, right? So, I think the guys, Jason and the guys over at WC Fab, do a phenomenal job on fit and finish in utilizing the space that they're given. So if you have an '01 to present Duramax, or you have, Cummins, they do older second gen kits, I'm sure, but their specialty is going to be the 2003 to present for the Cummins. But if you're looking for a twin turbo kit, man, that place is your one-stop shop. Pair that with a stealth turbocharger and an Exergy injector pump and maybe a set of injectors, and you can go from mild to wild in a hurry.
I love it. Well, hey, speaking of mild to wild, it's time to jump into our interviews. Guys, you never know what listener we're going to have on and what kind of truck they're going to have. It could be a build with a tuner and an intake, or it could be a balls out race truck. Let's jump in and hear what Jake Barton had to say about his truck. All right, guys, and now it's time for one of my new favorite parts of the show, which is listener ride review. Today we have on Jake Barton. Jake, how the hell are you?
I'm doing awesome, Paul. It's great to be here.
Hey, thank you so much for joining us. Guys, this is your chance as a listener to come on, be a part of the show, help us make this thing. This is where we got our roots in starting this. This is how we began the podcast. And we really felt like now more than ever, people would maybe want to enjoy hearing a part of the community, hearing guys who are still working on their trucks, still having a lot of fun with diesel performance. And I know today, Jake and I are also going to be discussing problems and knowing what to look for and how to deal with some of those failures and how to do some of those repair and replacements and how to get through some of those tough times. But hey, right at the top, Jake, I want to ask you, how did you get your start in diesel performance?
Well, it started a long time ago when I was just a young lad. My grandpa, he was always in his shop. He was a truck driver. He was always working on his rigs. He was working on, tractors and things like that. And I'm from southeast Missouri, so there's a lot of farmland, a lot of guys with diesels. I mean, it's just in the community.
I love that. I love when you get your start in diesel performance because it's something that's involved in the family. It's repairing something. It's fixing something. It's doing something that you need to do. And then all of a sudden, people tend to get bit by the horsepower bug. And then we start to have some real fun with them.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we definitely do.
All right.
It's my 2007 Crew Cab 5.9 G56.
All right, I love it. Classic truck. I've gotten some pushback from saying that we see a lot of these on the road, but because I was just doing an episode last year, and he was saying, man, you see, like in the day, that was the platform. It was probably this third gen common rail Cummins, and God knows we love that G56. How long have you had the truck?
I definitely do. I've had it for going on a year and a half now.
Okay. What do you have done to it as of right now?
Well, I'm gonna be honest. A lot of these modifications came from me having problems, but it's got a South Bend single disc clutch in it for now. The Stealth 64, put that in. FAS 165. I got a DPS third gen manifold on it. Set of 88 over industrial injection nozzles. Just ordered some gauges and trying to save up for a pump right now.
Nice. Okay. All right. You're going to be pushing this thing a little bit. I like it. What do you use the truck for? What's the purpose?
I bought it just to have fun with it. Kind of wanted to get a street truck out of it. Trying to go fast.
Okay. That's the dream, right? I want something that I could drive every day, but it's still a toy and I can beat the hell out of it when I want to. Speaking of beating the hell out of it, that's where most of my personal problems are with any of my vehicles. That might not be your situation. Walk us through this build, man. Where did you get started with it? And what were some of the challenges you faced as you've been putting it together?
Well, it started when I sold my 6.0. I drove about 4.5 hours to pick this thing up. I bought it from a dealership, smaller dealership, which I do not recommend. And I knew when I got there, the first time I drove it, it's got something wrong with it. Pushing in the clutch, you got a little chatter in it, and when you let out, it would make a different kind of chatter. That was throw-out bearing flywheel. That's where the clutch came in. So as soon as I brought it home, clutch went in. And
now, did you leverage that
you
in
know,
your negotiation with them? Because not only have I bought vehicles from a small dealership, but I've also worked at a small dealership, and when I was much younger, and more terrible of a person. So, so how did that go for you while you were
well,
dealing with them?
it went kind of good. You know, they were asking about 15 for it. It had a little under 200,000 on it, but you know, it was a rust-free truck, and from what I could see and what I could hear, the clutch wasn't going to be that bad. It had a very, very small amount of blow-by. It wasn't smoking, but you know, it was enough to where I noticed it. And
Okay.
I this is what happened. I made the guy a bet before I even took it home or made a deal. I said, if that thing has a lick of blow-by, you're knocking off $2,000. And he said, oh, ain't none of these trucks out here got blow-by. And I said, all right. And I shook his hand. And we went out there. Cap pushed back just a little. And that's there was $2,000 right there.
Oh, okay.
Clutch was making a little noise. He said, you know, I think we can work something out. So shook his hand, went and paid him. Got it home. You know, put that clutch in. And I was really thinking out what I was gonna do. You know, taking it slow, just driving it. And I bought a tuner. And you know, the next thing came. My next modification came from a failure. Fuel pump went out. So put the Fast 165 on it. And that was right around 6 or 7 months after I had it.
Okay.
And it was all fine, you know. Then Black Friday rolls around. You guys were throwing out those sweet deals on the Stealth 64s. So, you know, I had to pick one of those up, and I knew factory manifolds were a little bit restrictive, so got that DPS manifold. And my latest problem was about 2 weeks ago. I bought some studs and bought those injector nozzles. Took it to this shop down here, and lo and behold, they pulled the head, and there was a little bit of scarring in the cylinders on 3 of them.
Oh no.
Yeah, but you know, that's the deal right now. Paid the machine shop so far, and they're waiting on parts, and I'm just waiting on it to get done. It had a scarring on 2, 2, 3, and 5, I think.
Okay.
Yep. So getting a full rebuild right now. So I know for a fact I'll have a good running truck.
All right, good. Look at it as an opportunity, right? This is your chance to, if you're
Yep.
if you're going to jump in and do something bigger, or you're going to jump in and take it to another level, this is the time to do it, right? It's already getting shit. It's already at the machine shop.
Mm-hmm.
It's already all apart. So you got to put it back. What are your plans? Where do you want to go from here as you put this thing back together? Are we looking at a dual CP3 setup? Are we going to go to a 10 or a 12 mil? Are we going to go to twin turbos? The sky's the limit. If you do anything, what would be the mods you would throw at this truck as it comes back together?
Yeah. Probably not right now. Nope, nothing extra going in it except for the studs and the nozzles right now. Except for I got some gauges from Glow Shift on the way, and I got a fleece coolant bypass. Just a precaution, you know.
Sure, good option.
And down the road, probably gonna do a single 10 for the pump, and then probably get some compounds in there.
Okay. Okay, that's a modest build, but it's a lot of fun. I mean, depending 10 mil pump, 88 injectors, and then a 64. I'd assume, you match that up with like an S480 or S488. I mean, you got plenty of horsepower there to have some fun with.
Yep.
More than you're ever going to be able to legally put down on the road.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah,
clutch.
Right.
We'll get to that when it comes.
As of today, what modification have you made to this truck that you thought made the greatest impact? What really was a night and day difference for doing that upgrade?
Well, so far the turbo added a lot of power. I mean, it spools really good. I was trying to look up and see as much as I could on YouTube and things like that, but kind of a shameless plug, but that Stealth 64, man, it's awesome. I love it. Okay,
glad to hear it. What's something during this build? What was something that you didn't know going in, and when you found out, you were really surprised?
Cummins actually brake a lot. And don't buy from dealerships ever, small ones.
Okay.
And the ZF6 I had, my 6.0, was way better than the G56 I have now.
Damn, but a couple of hot takes from Jake Barton.
I love it. I love the truck, but that ZF6 was an animal, all right?
Jake, when you run into a problem and you got to figure it out or you got to learn something new, you had mentioned YouTube. What are some of the places you go to learn about diesel performance? What's been a good resource for you?
Well, for the mostly I listen to you guys. I listen to you guys every week, every time you upload. I learn a lot. But other than that, I watch a lot of Greg A. Cletus McFarland, that's just for funsies. But for learning, yeah, you guys and Greg A.
Greg's got some killer content, man. He really does. I know I'm a big fan of his as well.
Oh, I love Greg.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, we've already kind of talked about future mods for the truck and where we're going with this. Is there anybody you'd like to say, hey, man, these guys really helped me, or this person really helped me out with the build? Who do you want to thank?
A couple of my buddies. My buddy Nick, my buddy Jeremy. I'm always over at their house, messing around with stuff, changing wheels. Not to mention, that reminds me, I have broke 2 hubs now because that front end. Because I was running 14s and spacers. Not anymore, but I'm on stocks. But, yeah, Nick and Jeremy, big help to me. Always let me use their garage. And, I work a lot through the week, Monday through Friday, and I work second shift. So, I always go to the shop down here when I need something a little bigger done, because I just don't have time sometimes. And it's Torque Diesel and Auto, and my boy Rodney over there and his wife April, they're awesome. I love them to death. And most of the time they give me bad news, but it's all good, man. They help me out, and I appreciate the hell out of them.
Well, that's great to hear.
All of them.
Well, Jake, I appreciate the hell out of you joining us on the show. Thank you for jumping up and being a part of our listener ride review segment. Guys, if you want to get involved, the only way to do it is to jump on the Fans of Diesel Performance Podcast Facebook group. Yes, I know it's a long name. Trust me, it's worth typing it in. Jump in, click on the link, sign up for a day. I got slots available a few weeks out. They're getting booked up, but please jump in, get scheduled. We want to have you guys on the show. We really enjoy doing this segment. For today, this has been Paul Wilson, and thank you so much for listening.